doing a what I read on vacation vlog. I am currently on a road trip to Orlando, so it's about 4 hours. It's been about 2 hours in the car already, and I have been reading The Humans by Matt Haig. Essentially, the premise of this book is that an alien inhabits a human's body to try and understand, like, what Earth is all about. I guess the specific human that he's inhabiting is like a professor that just discovered some like really important mathematical theory. I don't know what that has to do with the rest of the plot, but it's so funny because seeing the human race through like someone else's eyes, it seems insane. And of course, the first thing that happens to him as soon as he like spawns on Earth in this man's body is that he gets hit by a car. So it's been really funny, and just kind of silly. Like the alien makes it seem like we're such like a primitive race and we don't have any technology and we still have to read, and reading takes us like hours, whereas for him it only takes minutes. They can literally like absorb a word capsule and understand a whole new language, and like everything about us is just odd how all of like we have all these externalities of like ears and noses and all these things that I guess in their alien race they've like internalized. So we're like a very archaic, primitive race, and so it's, imagine, that would have been crazy. It's okay, we avoided disaster. But anyway, it's been a very good book so far. So I brought The Humans by Matt Haig. I also have Little Women in Sense and Sensibility downloaded on my Kindle, and the audio is downloaded. We're not listening to any audiobooks in the car because somebody likes to chat, so I didn't want to do that. But then I also brought Something Borrowed and Caraval. If you watched my TBR, that's basically every single book on my TBR. We're only going to be gone for 4 days, but I'm thinking that I can get through at least 2. So obviously my Kindle has everything, but I wanted to have a variety so that I could pick while we're here. I'm really excited to see what we're able to get through, but yeah. Oh, wait! I forgot the most important part. Energy. If any of you guys watch Cody Trains, energy is everything. Let's see if we can get it. That was such a good one. Hello, it's the next day. Yesterday really only read in the car, and that's it, because when we got to my parents' house we had lunch, watched the eclipse, and then we took a nap. Went to dinner, went to bed. It was a very sleepy day. I am now 16% of the way through The Humans by Matt Haig. I think I was only 7% last time we talked, and while this book is interesting, I'm not very interested in it. It's just, and I know that we're building up the context for like understanding why this alien's on Earth and whatever, but it's like it's taking a long second. And I think what's most frustrating about it is instead of it only being like, it is first person point of view where we're seeing it through like the alien's eyes, but it keeps alluding to like the mission that they're on, and that like they can't escape too soon or whatever the case may be. So it's just like, just give it up already. So I'm putting the book to the side for now. We're gonna start Caraval by Garber. I'm excited to read this. Like I said in some of my other videos, this is the series that is I believe the precursor, or at least gives more context to the Ballad of Never After series, which I've heard is really, really good. I've also heard great things about this particular series as well. So I'm excited to read it. I am taking my own advice and switching up the genre so that I can hopefully avoid a book slump, because I've been reading a lot of romance, so I switched to contemporary fiction, or science fiction, I guess. And that's not working either, so we're gonna switch to fantasy. I'm hoping that the world building will entice me and be enough of a reason to like read and like finish a book, just because nothing's really, I don't know, Nothing's sounding good, so I'm hoping that stepping into a new world will, because I watched the original version of Alice in Wonderland for the first time earlier today, and it's just so whimsical and like adorable that I think I'm just in the mood to like be in another world. So we're gonna start Caraval, and I'll check in when I have any updates. It's the next day. Sorry for the bad lighting. Hopefully it doesn't get too bad, but it's about to rain here, so that's why it's like that. So reading Caraval, I'm really, really enjoying this. I am 256 pages in, which I believe is like just over 60% of the way in. And I totally understand the Stephanie Garber hype. Her pacing is impeccable. Every time that I'm like, okay, well, what's gonna happen next? Boom, we're seeing what's happening next. I also like, and this may just be because it's a YA book, but whenever like letters or things like that are referenced, it shows like this, which I just think is so cute. And it just reminds me of like when I was younger. I also love how it's broken up into parts. And each part has like these very beautiful like floral prints. But one thing that I do really like about Stephanie Garber's world building in particular is, number one, it's super whimsical, but number two, it's not like overly descriptive. So when she gives you like a new setting or a new character, or like especially when she's describing like the village and the isle that the main characters live on, or when they get to where Caraval is held, she gives just enough description that you kind of have the framework of what that area looks like or what that character looks like, but then you can kind of do the rest of the imagining. So it's almost like she gives you the blueprint and you are able to kind of imagine the rest in your head, which I really appreciate. I think in a lot of adult fantasy you get really, really heavy descriptors and it's like a very specific picture that's painted. But I think that the ability to kind of fill in those gaps is so special, and it really connects you more to the book than one that's like tells you exactly what it looks like, and exactly what that character looks like. So I'm really, really enjoying this, and I'm really excited when I'm done to go on Pinterest and see like what the fan casting is for these characters and like what they look like in other people's heads, because I have a very specific idea of what I think all these characters look like, but I'm excited to see what other people think as well. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. Right now we're getting into, like, I think the main characters are finally starting to understand the stakes of it all, so it's really ramping up and I'm really enjoying it. There hasn't been a moment where I've been bored. I've really been engaged and entertained the whole time, and like I said, the pacing is amazing, so I'm really, really enjoying this. I've already decided that I'm definitely going to pick up the next book in the series, which I believe is called Legendary, and yeah, I'm really glad that I started this, because it definitely took me out of that like possible slump that I was falling into, and it made me really excited to read. So loving Caraval by Stephanie Garber. So we are back from vacation. We actually got back last night, but we just went to dinner and like chilled, and so I wasn't gonna chat. I anticipated, and I said this earlier, I thought that the ride home was gonna be like prime time for me to read. I read maybe like 100 pages and then just like chatted and had like a girly swirly time, and so we didn't really read that much, surprisingly. But while we were on our trip, I did finish Caraval by Stephanie Garber, and I really enjoyed this book. I wasn't surprised because I heard a lot of great things about this book, so I expected to like it. I think on Goodreads I gave it a 4, I want to say. I think it's like a 4.25. In terms of my personal reading scale, it's definitely a B. It's a really solid B. It's a great young adult fantasy. The pacing was really fantastic of this book. Like I said earlier, I never found myself getting bored, and I think that has a lot to do with the way that Stephanie Garber structured the plot. This is one of those books where every event is predicated on something that happened previously, so each thing just builds and builds and builds and builds, as opposed to some other fantasy plots where you kind of get a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and then it all circles around and like connects in like a mastermind web at the end. This is very much like A plus B equals C, you know, continue on down the line. I really enjoyed this. I really liked the way that she developed all of her characters. I felt like the two main characters in this story were really well rounded, had a lot of like dimension and layers to themselves. I find that a lot of times, especially in young adult fiction, sometimes they're a little flat, and I really appreciated that the two main characters were really well fleshed out, as well as the main antagonist. We learned just enough about him that I was so thoroughly enticed with his character and wanting to know more, and that is primarily why I'm interested in reading the second book in this series. I feel like the weak point of this book is its ending. Not to say that the ending wasn't great, and so let me explain. The ending of this book is good. It ties everything up into a nice little bow, everything makes sense, and I feel like it was the correct ending for this story. However, the lead-in to the second book is what I didn't love, and so this book has an epilogue, and so I feel like essentially we finish Caraval, this book ties itself into a bow, we close the door on Caraval. Then we kind of sit in the waiting room for 10 minutes and then open the door to the epilogue. And so it just felt a little disjointed to me, and I think that in part also has to do with the fact that the next book obviously goes into a secondary character who we really didn't get a lot of in this first book. We got enough to like know, like I said, that flat version of their personality. So I'm not super enticed by the main character of the next book. However, the antagonist is the same. So because the antagonist is in the next book, that is why I'm interested in reading the next one. So I think I will go and end up picking it up sometime, maybe this weekend. Normally, I would say this is a book that you could read, put down for a few months, and then pick up the second book in the series and not have any trouble at all. Like I said, this wraps itself up really well. However, I'm just really enjoying her writing and her writing style, and so like, why not continue? So I think I'm gonna go pick up the second book in the series, which I believe is called Legendary. The acknowledgements in this book, if you don't read author acknowledgements, you need to start, because I love them and these are no different. This, I don't know if it's just this specific edition of Caraval, but at the very end, right before like the teaser for the second book in the series, not only is there a section that gives a kind of a sneak peek into the writing of Caraval, and I thought that was so interesting to see like the evolution of this book. She essentially shows the letters that start off that are at the beginning of this book, and like their original versions, or like versions of those letters in the beginning, and like the characters had different names. The plot line was, you can tell, would be a little bit different, and I just thought that was so interesting to see like a peek into that. I've never gotten to see that before. And there's also a playlist of songs, and again, this was published, I want to say, let's see, when was this published? This was published in 2017. So these songs are like definitely a product of their time. I think she said that the antagonist of this book, Legend, was inspired by the song Centuries by Fall Out Boy. Like, that is so 2017. But I thought that was so fun. I wish I had known that this was here beforehand, because then I would have like listened to the songs, because the great thing about this place is that it's not an overall place for the book. It's literally like by section. So like the book is divided into nights of Caraval, and so each night of Caraval has like its own little 3 or 4 song playlist. So that book was very good. I really liked it. It was a great read. But like I said, I just felt like the lead into the next book could have been better, but that's not anything to say about the writing quality and Stephanie Garber's, honestly, talent in terms of writing. Then we started Something Borrowed. If you've seen any of my other recent videos, I picked this up from the library, and this is essentially like a cheating romance, which normally would not entice me at all. The book is called Something Borrowed because the FMC sleeps with her best friend's fiance. And that is so messy. And I will say, I wasn't sure if I was gonna like this, but the blurb on the back and the synopsis was enticing enough for me to want to pick it up. And I will say, this is like the least dramatic version of this like trope that I could have expected. Emily Giffin has done a really good job of combining like slice of life with this plotline. And it's not like, I'm not anxious on the edge of my seat wondering what's going to happen. I obviously want to know what's going to happen next, and that is definitely a driver in terms of the plot. But I'm not like, oh my gosh, they're going to get caught, this is terrible, like, and it almost makes the reading experience unenjoyable. It's really good. It also does a little bit of back and forth in terms of timeline within each chapter to see like when she was in law school and just like her friendship with this friend. And how it's developed over time, and kind of giving more insight into their personalities, because they have been essentially like lifelong friends. And so I'm really enjoying it, surprisingly. I'm on page 99, so almost 100 pages in, and I'm really enjoying it. One thing I will say is that this book is going to take me a while. I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish it by the end of the weekend. If I didn't mention, I'm extending the reading blog to the end of the weekend because I got back on a Friday. What do you mean? I'm still on vacation. It's Saturday. It's Saturday, Sunday. I'm still on vacation. Let's see, 322 pages, but I will show you guys the size of the font. Let's pick a page in the front so that it's not a spoiler. But the font size is pretty small, so I'm thinking that this is going to take me quite a while to get through. And one thing that I really like about this book, which has nothing to do with the writing at all, but at the beginning of each chapter, you know how sometimes in books they just do like the first letter of the first word of the chapter that like enlarged? This book does the entire first word, and I love that. And I didn't know that that's what I needed in my life, but it's what I have, and I'm obsessed with it. So yeah, we're gonna continue, like I said, this reading blog through the rest of the weekend, because why not extend the vacation vibes? I will be continuing to read Something Borrowed. Right now I'm gonna go grab lunch and a coffee because I'm a little irritable, but when I get home, I do need to unpack from my vacation, so I can't speak. I have no energy. I have no brain. There's no energy in my body for the synapses to and give me thoughts. But let's try and get through this really quickly. When I get home, I have to unpack, so I will be listening to an audiobook, because Something Borrowed I don't believe has an audiobook, and even if it does, I have 2 other books. If you watched my my April TBR video, you know that I have 2 audiobooks that I'm wanting to read or listen to this month. Sorry. If you watched my April TBR, which if you haven't, you should. I have 2 books on there that are not only Kindle Unlimited, but also audiobooks. So I will be listening to one of those. I anticipate that it's going to be Little Women by Louisa and Alcott, but we'll see how I feel when I get back. Anyway, clearly I need to shut up, so I will see you guys when I'm reading next. Hello. Why do I start with hello? You guys know, you haven't left, you're still watching the same video. I finished Something Borrowed by Emily Giffin a few minutes ago, and it was so good. Like I said, it's not like an anxiety-inducing drama. There was a part around like halfway where I was like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen next? And the twist in this book was, first of all, basically all the way at the end, and second of all, so good. I was entirely unexpected, but it made so much sense once you've like obviously gotten to this part in the book and understand the characters and like their personalities. Like it made total absolute sense. There was one part where the FMC like goes to London, and that I thought was kind of odd and like maybe didn't need to happen. Like I feel like the character development that she had in like that scene could have been done in another way, but like whatever, I'm not an author. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. It was, like I said, it was technically like a cheating trope. Well, it was a cheating trope, there's no mistaking it. But it was so much more about like our FMC and just her personality and her developing and like coming into her own and essentially like choosing happiness. I know that sounds crazy for like a cheating trope, but it extends so much further than the one incident. It really shows you like this incident essentially is like a catalyst that makes her think more deeply about other events in her life, and like how her relationship with this one friend has been the, I don't know how to explain it, like her one relationship with this friend has essentially like she's based so many decisions off of her feelings because of this friendship, you know what I'm saying? And like it's given her like this weird conception of herself that ultimately like is just not reality. And so now she's like obviously in this like hot mess of the situation, but is also, I think, probably for the first time discerning in her 30s like what she actually wants in life, which I thought was cool. There was a point at the end where it was very like, and life is more about blah blah blah, like very much like scripted quote to hang on your wall, very much the author, like the narrator going, and that's when so and so realized that there was so much more to life than working at a law firm, and you should be happy with all the choices that you make because life is crazy. Like, that wasn't exactly the point of it all. It was obviously better than that, but sometimes when books do that, I'm like, but then I also feel like maybe it's just a product of its time, because I feel like a lot of books that do that were published in this like 2015-ish era. When did I say this was published? 2017? Did I make that up? I think I'm conflating two books. I think Caraval was published in 2017. This is 2004. Let's see. Yeah, 2004. So maybe the 2000s just had that like live, laugh, love theme, which makes total sense because rom-coms, like literal movie rom-coms from that time period, I feel like are the same way, where like you get this very narrative and like character-driven story that's like very low on plot, and at the end there's like this big message that you're supposed to discern from the movie, like Breakfast Club, Pretty in Pink, pretty much any of John Hughes's movies. But yeah, I really liked it. I kind of don't know what to read next because surprisingly I have read most of the books on my TBR for this month. I have two more that are classics, and then The Humans by Matt Haig, which I talked about early in this video, I soft DNF'd. So I don't know, I'm debating. I feel like I just need time to let this book simmer because the reveal at the end was so nuts that I literally was like, and I kind of regret that I didn't know it was coming, so I couldn't have filmed it, but I wish I had like some form of my reaction because I wish I could have seen my face when it all came to light. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. And this is your sign to check out books from your local library, because sometimes you get a gem like this, and you know, sometimes it's good to read the blurb on the back because most of the time it ruins the entire plot, but sometimes you get a really, really enticing story. It was literally, I felt like I was watching a TV show. It was so good. But yeah, I think I'm gonna call it a night, and I'll check back in tomorrow if I read anything else. Unfortunately, the weekend and thus my vacation have come to an end. I listened to Little Women pretty much all day. It was so cozy, and just, it was, because it's such a long book, I believe it's like 560 pages or so. It's just so much of like the intimate little details of their life, and like you see them grow and their character development as they just go through so many experiences as young girls, and like create this bond as a family and as sisters, and interact with people, and I don't know, learn so much about life. It's just so sweet and charming. I am, let's see, I believe I'm on chapter 19, which, let's see how far that is. I am 38% of the way in, and that is, it says I have 9 hours left in the book. I believe it's a 15-hour book. 9 hours and 30 minutes left to listen to the book. And it's just been so nice to listen. It's been so sweet, and just, it's made my day so relaxing and so calm and just, I don't know, so cozy. It's been kind of awesome. I'm going to continue listening and hopefully get to, I don't think 50%. I'm only listening on 1.2 speed. Usually I listen faster, but I'm kind of just enjoying it and savoring it. That doesn't make any sense. Because I'm looking at it at the Kindle on my phone, like Kindle app on my phone, it says I'm on page 3,208 of 8,106, which is insane. But let's see, I'm 38% of, I think I said this book was 566 pages, so let me double check. I'm 215 pages in. So I have about 350 pages left, which is insane because normally that's like a whole other book length worth of book. So I've listened to 5.5 hours of this book, maybe. So yeah, that's just been a really nice way to end my weekend. I'm really enjoying it. I can't talk about anything because even though this book is so old, I feel like it's a spoiler, and it's just like, if you've never read Little Women before, like, I just want you to go and read it and like truly enjoy it, and like take a whole weekend, take a whole week to just sit and enjoy the sweetness and the tenderness of this book. I just highly recommend that you do so. If you didn't see my April TBR video, like I said earlier, go watch it. But the Amazon Classics version of Little Women is, number one, available on Kindle Unlimited, but number two, the audiobook is also available, so you can read and listen at the same time, which is what I'm doing. And it's just a really great perk of, if you have Kindle Unlimited, being able to listen to the book as well as read it. And yeah, we've had a really successful reading week. We finished Caraval, we finished Something Borrowed. Let's see. We're gonna do some math. Roughly 215 pages worth of Little Women. Something Borrowed, 322 pages, plus Caraval, 402 pages. And then I did read Part of the Humans by Matt Haig. Please, me doing math is like such a pain. We'll say that I read maybe 20 of those pages on vacation. 939 plus 20. I read 959 pages while on vacation. This might be backwards for y'all now that I think of it, but that's fine. You can just believe me. So I consider this a really successful reading vacation. I'm glad I was able to take you guys along with it. I hope you enjoyed this video. As per always, make sure to comment what you thought of any of the books that I've read in this video, and if you have any recommendations for me, leave those down below. Like the video so that I know that you liked it and that other people can, it can expand the reach of the video so other people can see it as well. And subscribe, of course. And I will see you all in the next one. Bye!